The power to control the world is in which finger? That's a very powerful question. It's also a very unique way of doing magic. When you look at the magic of Willow, the film, and the magic as it's unfolding in the new show on Disney Plus, it's not the same magic system we've seen in many other fantasy shows or worlds. It definitely has its own unique place in things. And I think that's one of the things that makes the show more interesting to me than the film. As much as I love the film, I am enjoying the new show. And it's because we're dealing with a world that is expanding as the show progresses. So, in a lot of cases, when you're watching a TV series that has been based on a film or some sort of intellectual property that has come before, you're dealing with tons of established lore. And so it's really hard to like go off the beaten path and do something unique because it's already been set in stone. But that's not the case here because we did get a glimpse into the world of Willow when the film came out, but we didn't ever go beyond that. Obviously, there were the novels that Lucas and Chris Claremont did in the 90s. I think those were the 90s. It was like late 90s, early 2000s. And those sort of expanded upon things in a different way. But with the show, we're going in a different direction and we're doing something new and unique with the world. And the magic system is one of the things that I think is really cool because it is literally expanding as the show expands. So, in terms of understanding how magic works, there's only so many questions the series is going to be answering because, or at least right away, because as it expands, the rules of magic are being filled in, which allows fans like myself to learn more about magic and how it works in the world of Willow, which means the more time we spend in the world, the more we're going to get established lore, which is kind of cool because it's like watching an outline unfold in real time. Now, one of the questions I think most people have, at least that I've seen, is what's going on with Willow? Because it appears that either the magic he has is, very weak, or magic has faded to the point where, he really does need to conserve his energy. So there's lots of questions going on, but I always like to look back to the original film as sort of the root basis of magic is painful. Like raw magic is painful to use, and a sorcerer or a sorceress has to be able to push past that pain and has to be able to deal with that as part of the magic wielding process, which I think is one of the ways that it makes magic really unique because not everyone is going to be able to do that. It's going to take a unique individual that A has the raw natural born talent, but also has been able to be trained and has the mental fortitude to be able to push past that process. It's not something where it's so easy that just anyone can do. There is a cost to magic. It might not be a blood cost every time, but there definitely is a cost in terms of magic is painful. And we saw that in the original film when Willow was using Shalindra's wand to help um, Raziel convert back into a human from her animal form that she had been twisted into. What's also interesting is when you see Raziel use the wand against Bavmorda, she doesn't appear to suffer the same pain that Willow does, but you have to also understand that she is a much higher level sorceress and has adapted to that process over the years. Which leads into question, looking at the way the show is treating magic right now. I believe it's episode 3 when we start to get the characters are really questioning whether or not Willow actually has any magic because they've been on this trek with him for a while now and he hasn't actually done anything. And so, like, the wheel is falling off the cart and the kids are starting to question, is he actually this powerful sorcerer or not? And then at the end of the episode, when Silas gets attacked and all this that major fight sequence is happening, Willow slams down his staff and pours forth all this energy from his staff, but it is a very draining experience, very painful to him, and he falls down as a result of that. And then again in, I believe it's episode 4, when they're in the castle of Nockmar, Um, there's another sequence. I think it's when they get into the tower. And they're dealing with the lich. He has another moment where he uses the staff and is overcome with pain. So even though Willow has progressed as a sorcerer, he hasn't yet progressed to the level of Raziel, as an example, because he still suffers from horrifying and terrifying bouts of pain. But he has obviously come a long way than compared to when he was younger, and he was only able to do little tricks and things of that nature. But it does bring into question, what is magic? How does magic work in the world of Willow? Um, in both the film and the series, we see characters learning magic, and we find out that in each of these cases, the most important thing for any sorcerer in the world of Willow appears to be concentration. Spells are in a different language, they have their own unique phrasing. There's actually I'm going to go over here and pull it up. There is a wiki. Which I'll link in the description below, and somebody has taken the time to write down a list of known incantations from the film and the show. Tuatha, Lokrak, Tuatha, and then elements of eternity above and below, balance of essence, fire begets snow. It's just all sorts of really cool stuff, and I think that's really unique to this world. These incantations have to be spoken in a proper order with a exact pronunciation on the words, and we haven't yet been given any sort of explanation for why that is or why this is any sort of magic. We just know that this is something that has to be done. And they make fun of Elora in the show because she has a really hard time with the pronunciations. We also know that spells can be helped with the use of these focus devices, such as the wands, but they aren't necessarily necessary. Not just the wands, also, but the staff, because Willow has a staff. By the way, where did he get his staff? I'd love to know that, because the wand came from Shalendria, which is really cool. But where did he get his staff from? Did he make the staff? Did he find the staff? Is the staff a relic from times before? Like, there's just so much we don't know about the magic system, and that's one of the reasons that it makes me so intrigued about what's going on here, because it's unfolding as the show unfolds and we get a better sense of how this magic works. But there's also other items, because remember, like, we had the acorns from the original film, and we never get an explanation of, are the acorns natural magic, or were they created? There's also the border that is surrounding um, the realm. And that's also not given a ton of explanation, other than Shalendria and Raziel helped um, bring that barrier up. There's also the Lux Arcana artifact, which was apparently used to help um, create this the armor, the breastplate of the Chimera. So I mean, it's there's lots of questions that we have in terms of magic and how it works. The one thing we do know is that raw magic appears to be really rare. Um, and Willow and Elora, as an example of characters who have learned it or who have been born with it. Bavmorda also. We get this discussion. I forget which episode it's in, but we get told about the blood of the six. I think it's the end of episode 4, about how at the beginning of time in the Grove, 6 of the Fae broke away and wanted to do their own thing, and so they kind of went in, the direction of dark magic. So we have dark and light magic, but it apparently all stems from the same source. If you look at the wiki, they actually have a description of sorcery in the show, and the difference between sorcery and spellcasting. They say that sorcery is an internal art requiring a belief in oneself along with imagination and willpower, often accompanied by a variety of external components. And then you have spells, which requires verbal formulas like an incantation. And then there's, a potion that Raziel has him create to help change. So, there's different things going on here in terms of spell casting and magic. But one of the things I think we do know is that magic, as it appears in Willow, unless I'm misunderstanding things, is something you're born with, but you still have to be able to learn how to use it, because they talk about how Willow mentions early on in the show that Elora Danan, because she was cut off from magic for so many years, um, it's one of those things where use it or lose it. Like if you're given that gift at birth, then you need to use it and cultivate it. Otherwise, you can get to the point where you'll never be able to tap into that ever again. And that's his concern with her, is that she just isn't going to be able to do it because Sorsha had made her forget who she was, and so she never had a chance to cultivate that gift. And so she's just been sitting here, and it's just gone to waste, and she might not ever get it back again. So it's all really fascinating stuff. And for me, I think that's one of the cool things, at least as a writer, I'm enjoying watching this magic system unfold because so many other books I've read or movies we've seen, the magic is very sort of copy and paste from other worlds, and there are elements of things from other worlds here, but it's an interesting blending of elements here that I think works really well. And I'm looking forward to seeing where the rest of this goes, and I'm looking forward to learning more about magic in the realm of Willow. If you also, like me, enjoy this show and want to know more, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you get more updates like this from my channel as I continue to explore the show, do reviews on it, and explore the world and lore. Hell, we may even get back and do a reread of the Lucas and Chris Claremont novels at some point in 2023 because I have not read those books since they came out. It's been a long time. I don't want to age myself that much. It's been a while since those books were out. But you never know. Anyway, support if you can. There's memberships down below. You can do a super thanks on this video. It's a great way to say thanks and keep the lights on, keep the internet paid, and keep me going full time here into 2023. There's also a Patreon page if you want to get involved with my fantasy world and the video game that I'm building with my brother and my wife. There's a Discord channel and beyond. You can tune in live streams every single day as we play video games and other stuff together. And until next time, everybody, stay safe and don't choose the wrong finger. That would be a mistake.